Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night podcast, where Navajo legends echo in the shadows. Darren and Dawn will guide you through the sacred fire of native storytelling, where the old stories breathe, the unknown walks among us, and voices, long hidden, rise to be heard. And remember, don't whistle at night.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night. We're broadcasting live here on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. I'm your host, Don Yazzie. With me is my co-host, Darren Yazzie. Rama and Pine Hill's most interesting man. Here he is, Darren Yazzie.
Hey, what's up? So, we got Ron back on, huh? Tonight?
Yep, Rod of one of our favorite podcasts is Lodge Tales, one of the good podcasts that you and everybody needs to check out because it's like a food for thought type of podcast. It's very unique. It's a unicorn, it's a place to go where you want an insight of more of a unique way, of more of a humane way to see things through indigenous point of view, because this is Indigenous month, awareness month, and this is our month. And Darren and I are pleased to bring you guys Rod Williamson, senior of Lodge Tales podcast. Here he is.
He's okay.
Hey.
Hey, there he is. There he is. How do you say hello again in your language, Blackfeet?
You say okay.
Okay.
Hey, okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, okay. Hey, okay.
Wow.
All right.
Wow, dude. Everybody's been wondering where you've been. Me and John and Don were sitting there talking like, where's Rod? Where's Lodge Tales at, man? I've been asking Don where you've been at for a couple of months here. So
Yeah, I took a little time off. I had some things I had to get done, and now I got everything going again.
Oh, right on, bro.
Oh,
Well, it's good to hear from you. And
Yeah.
yeah, dude, I thought you just fell out the world for a minute there. So it's good to have you back on for part 2. And it's good to hear from you, dude. For real.
Well, I signed with Spectrum Radio, and I had to learn their system. Plus, I had a bunch of jobs lined up. It was just no time. I mean, it was from morning to night. Just one of those grinds. So I decided to scale back a little bit, and then I picked it up as soon as I could again.
Right on.
That's
right
what's
on.
up, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what's up. So, like, are you gonna? So, how's this new system? If you don't mind me asking, like, you gotta. What do you
Well,
gotta do?
when you start them, like you're on a podcast service, and you have to give them your RSS feed, and everything gets kind of rerouted through them out to wherever it's going. But there was a lot of little things we had to do for it. Like we had to include Spectre Vision Radio on our imagery, and just a lot of little technical things like that we had to get out of the way. And it took me a little while to do it all, getting through it, because the lady was helping us. She moved to a different position, so I was kind of stumbling through a lot of it, and it's just a lot to read. When you make that transfer to another, it's a lot of work. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
bet.
Oh.
I bet. before we get started, let's read some of these comments real quick here. AZ Lyman 47. Good evening. Let's get the show on the road. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Here in San Diego was cold. recovery after 4 days of raining. Oh man, I bet them
Dang.
bones are hurting, huh? Weather and them when it gets raining cold, the bones start hurting. Let's see here. The time changed again. Go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. Heidi Gold. What's up, Heidi? Good evening, Don and Darren. Much love from Boulder.
Well, thank you, Heidi.
Kurt. Oh yeah. Kurt W75 at Kurt W75. Don and Darren. Hope you're doing great tonight. As always, Kurt. As always. Heidi Gold. Good evening, Rod. And, W75. Good evening, Rod. Hope you're doing great.
Yeah, doing good. Thanks.
Mm.
And the Yazzie 4712. Hey Don and Darren, I caught your live feeds finally. Yeah, hey Randy, Mr.
Hey, what's up?
Caveman, one of the interesting gentlemen that I gotta bring on here too as well. Oh yeah, much love, Heidi. Thank you. Oh, all right, AZ Lyman 47. Sorry, I was on at 6 p.m. and no one was on. The YouTube said 7 p.m. So I thought I started catching up.
You
Yeah,
know that's exactly what happened to mine. It said 9:10 instead of 8:10. I was like, what? Wait, what? So almost had a little panicker there, bro. For sure.
oh yeah. I asked my network producer. I was like, "Hey, did we move time?" And she's like, "No, that's Central Time." I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, all right, it's all good."
All right.
Okay. So we caught up with everybody, the comments, and we are gonna hand off the mic to you, Rod. Today's topic is. Go ahead. I'll let you go from here. Go ahead. Mike's yours.
Well, we agreed to talk about old medicine stories and those alcohol spirits on this episode. And so, I mean, there's a lot of those old medicine stories, and those are some of my favorite ones. You know, they really are. They're because of the things that have happened in them. Like, you know, the one story I always think about is my brother-in-law was talking about it. He said, "Yeah, my grandpa and them they tell us stories," and he said, one of them was where this guy had medicine and he could the moon gives off light and he could ride his horse on that light to travel fast, you know. So those kinds of stories like that, I mean, a lot of them are really short, but just the things that they've done in these instances are really fascinating. Another one, there was a guy named Brings Down the Sun, and he was having this sun dance, and in the middle of it, he faces the sun, and he says, "Dance with us. Give us a sign to the people that you're here with us." And just then, everybody looks up and they see the sun up in the sky, and it's going like this. Yeah, everybody's seen that. So, you know, things like that that you hear are really fascinating to me, and along with the other medicines too, like the bear medicine, right? When that came to our tribe, so there was this boy. Well, see, the camp had moved. They moved their camp, and as they got to their new place, they realized this boy's dad was a chief. The chief realized, okay, that our dog is gone. Our travelers dog. This was during the dog days, is what we call it, when we used dogs to travel and carry our stuff before the reintroduction of the horses. And so he was worried about that dog, and his boy said, "Look, I'm a little older now." He says, "I think I have the power to go and find out what's going on with our dog." And so he leaves, and his father trusts him, and he heads out by himself, and he's looking for that dog. Finally, he finds the trail of it, you know, because the dog was like this, and there would be two poles behind it, like sticking out on either side, and it would drag those, and he'd pile stuff on it. So he's seen the trail of it, those two poles, and it led up kind of into these mountains, and he followed it. Well, it ended up at this huge cave, like a really big cave, and there was a bunch of chokecherry bush and savage-berry bush all piled up outside. There was a bear in there, and it was eating that stuff. Well, just then that big old bear comes out. Big one, stands up at and screams at him, and that boy is scared. That bear comes right out and it grabs him and it brings him into that cave. And he's scared. He's, freaking out, like doesn't know what to do. And every time he tries to move, that bear will put more of his kind of paw, like readjust and pin him down. Finally, he was just laying there looking straight up. And then that bear starts speaking to him. He says, my son, he says, don't be afraid. He says, I ain't going to harm you. He says, I'm the chief of all bears. He says, and by the time spring comes, you stay in here with me the whole winter, and by the time spring comes, I'll give you, some of my powers that you can take back to your people. And sure enough, time just goes by, and that bear showed him all kinds of things that whole winter. Just keep showing him things, and finally what he ended up giving that boy was a spear. So that bear spear, it showed him it too. It showed him how to make it and everything, and a knife, and it showed him how to make that knife too. So the bear spear and the bear knife is what he took back, and he showed him how to paint in a certain way. When you paint someone, it'll give them protection in war, like you won't be hit by anything. Or there was another way he was given where it could heal people that were really sick, like on death's door. He could take them right out of that. And so he brought it back to the people. And since that time, the only ones that ever had that bear spear and that bear knife were the bravest of warriors, because they were the ones that would lead. So when this boy got that medicine, he made those. As soon as he got back, he started making those tools that bear showed him how to do. And they went on a warpath right after that. And when he went, all of those Blackfeet followed behind him, because when he took off, when he ran in, that bear told him, he says, "You, as soon as you get into battle, you scream like I do." And so he did, and that's part of that bear medicine too. And when they scream, things run away from them. And so when they went into that battle, they all followed that boy, and he stood his ground. He painted himself all red, and then he had that spear, and he took off screaming, and they all followed him. Once they followed him, they didn't even stand a chance, because the warriors that had that bear medicine, they fought like bears. They fought until there was nobody left alive, and the ones that were able to get away, they fled from them. But ever since that time, like all of those bear warriors would lead them into battle like that, and it happened, geez, all the way up into like recent times before the reservations that recent, and those items were still around for a long time, but I don't know where they're at now. They're still in our tribe. I just don't know where they're at. That spear and that knife. And so that's one of the medicines I think about. And I guess when they would doctor with that, it was rough. You can imagine a bear being rough. That's how it was. It's like some people, if they're really wounded, they would either make it out of it, or they would die when they were during the doctoring, because it was so rough. But it was really a powerful type of medicine that they had. And there's quite a few of the things out there. So another one is what we call the buffalo stone, or the aniscum, and that one's a part of my society. They're in all of our holy bundles, and a lot of these pipes, medicine pipes. They're in all of it. Painted lodges, they're in those too. But how that started was this girl. See, her sister was married to this man, and she was living with them in their lodge, and she was out getting wood. And this was a time when everybody was starving. The buffalo had went away, and people were really thin. And when she was gathering firewood, she could hear a little voice It's this little voice, and it was on the ground, and she went down and she started looking around. There's another version of the story where it's in a tree. So either way, she found this Iniscum, and it was talking to her. It was saying, take me with you. I'm powerful. I'm holy. And so she did. She took that little stone with her, just a little stone, and they look like little buffalo, it's little tiny ones. I have one, but I don't think I should show it to you guys on here. Maybe in person I would show you, but not on here. Well, anyways, actually I have 3 of them. So when she got that, she didn't tell anybody about it. She brought it back into their camp that night, and she kept it to herself. She didn't tell anybody. And that night she dreamt, and it came into her dream, and it taught her the songs to go along with it, like the original Iniscum song. And since then there's many, after that, but that's the song he taught her, and then the ceremony along with it. He says if you do these ceremonies, you guys will always you'll always prosper and have good luck. And so the next morning she told her sister about it. She said this is what happened, and she in turn told her husband. And they got all of these elders, these holy people together, to come together. That they didn't believe it. They didn't, but they went along with it, and they did that ceremony. And then the very next day, all of the buffalo showed back up, and they were all able to eat because they were starving. They were all starving to death, and that was a huge leap forward in my tribe's, I guess you would call it, technology, because after that time, they could call the buffalo in and just corral a few of them. No more of these long, drawn-out, 100-mile, excursions just to run them over a cliff. They were just right there. And so that freed up a lot more resources and time to further the superpower that we were on the plains at the time. And that's all because of those Iniscums, and we still use them today. And when they come to you, when you could be looking for them, or you could just be, walking around somewhere, and you'll hear them. Like this one girl in my tribe, she was swimming at the swimming hole, and when she'd dive underwater, she would hear chirping like a bird, like this little chirp sounds. And she'd come back up, and she'd look around down there, and she's like, what is that? And she kept diving back under. Finally, she found a little tiny one, it's a little tiny Iniscum, and she kept it with her. And that's how they come to you. When the one that I found, there was many that I found, but at one point, I was with my sister-in-law, my cousin, my wife, and each time, because I went with my wife and my cousin at first, and then everybody had to stay in camp, and me and my sister-in-law wanted to go back and look for more, and so we went back. But each time we were finding them, I could hear that chirp, but for some reason I just knew it wasn't for me, so I would walk the different direction, and those girls would go toward that sound, and I wouldn't go there. And finally, I was just looking around, and next thing you know, I hear this great big old buffalo, man. It was huge, like huge. We have a story where the buffalo, the son's dogs are buffalo, and they're so big that they eat trees as grass. That's how it seemed. It was so big. It was so big I could hear it, and it was coming off of this hill, this buffalo jump. I could hear it, and there's a dirt road that leads right up to the Canadian border by this place, and trucks use it, 18-wheelers. First, I ignored it at first because I thought it was a truck, but finally I looked up, and there was no truck. I looked up down that road. I'm like, what the heck? And when I'd look toward that way, it would stop. So I'd put my head back down, and I'd hear it again. I'd look back up, it would stop. But it was steadily getting closer and closer and closer to me. Finally, where I was looking, I stopped looking in this direction, the general direction I was moving, and I moved toward that sound. And then that's when I found the biggest Aniskim I've ever found in my life. It's huge. And it's probably going to have about 5 babies, that one that I found. But I give it to my wife. She's in mourning for her dad, so I gave her that one. The one that I kept for myself is just a little tiny one, about that big. But I think the small things are really powerful. So I knew that was for me. A lot of my other friends, like at the ceremonies, I didn't have like a lot of. Geez, I already gave away my K-bar knife. I gave away a bunch of stuff there, and so I started handing those Aniskins to people that were helping me do things, So we got a lot, and they're meant to be, shared. Like if one comes to you, what's meant to be, and I knew everybody there was in a good place and in a good way to receive one, so I gave them out, But we still have we have 3 of them before we found a lot that summer, but now we have quite a few of those. But there's a whole transfer ceremony that takes place when you actually get them, because they paint them and then they transfer them to you. And those are done by the beaver bundle people, the beaver man or the woman. They're the ones that do that for you. So anyways, that's the Aniskums. And when like my family comes from a long line of medicine people, like holy people and stuff, and it's like our great grandparents, all of them. I think all natives kind of have that. But one of my great uncles, he had a what we call a ghost bundle, and how he got his dad had it, and when his dad passed away, they buried it with him. And in those days, it was just like a casket put above ground. There were above ground graves in those days, and he fell asleep that night. And when he was sleeping, his dad came. He come to him in a dream, and he said, "Go back up there to my casket, open it, and where my feet are, grab that bundle out of there and take it with you." And so he says, "But you have to do it at night." So he went up there and he grabbed that bundle and he brought it back. And he just kind of kept it, more so like an heirloom for because he didn't know the songs to it or anything. And finally one night his dad came back and he said, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how to use this. I'm going to show you the songs. I'm going to show you the ceremony and what we're going to do with this. Well, he teaches him all of that. Then he understands how to use this bundle at that point. And one day, there was this woman that was really sick. She was really sick, and she was laying there like like she passed away, like just passed away. And he gets there and he uses that ghost medicine on her, and she comes back. She comes back to life, and that's some of the power of it. And when they were talking about it, that woman, she said, "I almost left you," talking to her husband, because when I came to, I could see where all these old houses were and all these old lodges, and I almost went in there and I almost left you here, but I came back. And anyways, with a lot of that ghost medicine, I was told by one of my brothers in the ceremonies that that's a really serious one. It's scary because they could be unpredictable, because there are ghost camps.
Scary.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, so there are ghost camps around. There's one out past this place called Starsco. There's a big bend in the river, and right there was a really wicked smallpox epidemic in that band, and geez, there was just lodges standing still all in that area, and nobody was left. And anyways, that's one of the areas where they say, where were you at? Oh, I just come from this camp. There's several ghost camps around. And with that bundle, I guess when some of these folks would come out to that bundle, like there was a guy who his friend's dad helped him, but his friend's dad had already passed away, but he came back and he would help him. You know, he would be one of the helpers of that bundle because they're ghosts. And he offered him one time, he says, "Do you want to talk to your dad? You can come to the ceremony and you'll be able to talk to your dad." But he was too afraid to. He didn't do it. But see, that was some of the power of that bundle. And in these stories, like I'm saying, that we talk about all of this technology, like I'm gonna go ghost hunting. We're the best ghost hunters ever. Period. Full stop. No even question about it, right? So I think these old ways were a much greater technology than we have today that we could ever even fathom. You know, and a lot of these old things are forgotten about, or they're just straight gone. But that's why I think a lot of it fascinates me, because I've been doctored myself too, and I've been witness to other doctorings that happened, and the non-native world would call them miracles, you know, and geez, they'd probably try to saint you. You better get out of here. I ain't no saint, you know. You know, that's how those holy people would say. You know, they don't want none of that sainthood. Like, what are you talking about? But you know, that's how powerful this is, and how it works. So, any questions before I jump into the next story?
Oh yeah. I have a lot of questions actually, but let's go to our viewers here. We have some questions going on over here. Okay, let's see here. Let's start off here. Right here, Randy Yazzie 4712. The bear songs I sing really helps people. Aho Najune, they're very powerful. Oh yeah, there's a lot of same. Everyone has the same thing, but it's just different language, different songs, but it's just like the same deal. Like it's pretty awesome. Melody Alvarez, 1378. Hey, what's up? Let's see. Gerald Log 5063. Oh my Gigi. Hi brothers. What's up, Gerald Log? What's up? At Randy Yazzie 47112. Even the Husky is afraid of the songs. Oh, he's talking about Big Back, Sasquatch, Bigfoot. Yeah, he's afraid of the bear songs. And so's the Skinwalkers as well. I had a person that I chat with a lot. She said that she had to do like a ceremony for herself, and when she was doing the singing, the spirit of the bear came out and started protecting her from skinwalkers. So she's seen like a lot. She's seen it throw down in the spirit realm. So it's a lot of interesting on the bear part. Let's see here. Gerald Log 5063 at Rod. You sound like you're from Montana. Do you know any Three Fingers? Last name. Oh, this should be last name.
That doesn't sound like it's from my tribe. Must be a different. I'm Blackfeet, but I am from Montana. Yeah.
Oh, yep. I just logged in. How's it going, Gerald Log? So Three Fingers. Does that sound like a crow or
Yeah, Cheyenne something. Northern Cheyenne, yeah, something.
As soon as you said Three Fingers, I was like, man, there's something running around here with 3 fingers and 3 toes. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just saying that it sounds like a crow name too. It could be either one. You know, I'm not sure. I don't know. Just guessing.
Oh man, I remember hearing I think it was you or I can't remember. They said the Blackfeet tribe they did like a treaty with the bear so that the bear wouldn't attack them or take any of them, because I remember back in the day we had a problem with the bears stealing boys, Navajo boys. And then when we would recover them, we would have like ceremonies for them, the fire dance, and a lot of the times the boys would be lefty from that from being taken from the bear. And then
Oh,
they said because the bear is always left-handed, the bear always does things with his left hands. So that's the result of a lot of Navajo kids. Their descendants are left-handed because of that. They were taken once down the line,
Hmm.
something like that. And Darren, you got any questions?
Well, no, right now, dude, I am just listening. I am all ears, just sitting there trying to absorb as much of these stories as I can right now. So, uh,
Oh,
excellent storytelling, dude. It's always like listening. I'll sit there like a little kid again, sitting there listening to
yeah.
someone tell stories like these. So, even with this podcast, I think it's a good thing to hear. Have people hear stories and that are told long time ago till now. And right now we got the internet, so surprisingly people from all over the world are gonna to hear bits and pieces of Native American storytelling. So thanks, dude. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right now I'm just all
oh
ears,
yeah.
dude. So
Yep. Real quick here. Nivea's Angel. Hello, Don, Darren, speaker, chat. What's up, Nivea's
hey,
Angel? And Nivea's Angel, please hit that like and subscribe button for the sake of the show. Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you, Nivea's Angel. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Okay, I got another question here. Here, Rod, was Rick Medlock really Blackfeet? I don't know who that is.
I don't know who
Rick
that
Medlock.
is. Ricky
I don't know.
Medlock.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
I
don't
don't
know who that?
recognize that name.
Okay, Ricky Medlock.
I'm not sure.
Okay,
Don't ring a bell.
man. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Go ahead. It's all you. Hand you back the mic.
All right. Yeah, and so along with that bear medicine too, there was a bear lodge that was given with it too, and in that bear lodge there was a lot of different. There's a lot of different things that go on with these painted lodges, these holy lodges, and I just know that one of them you couldn't bring dogs in that lodge, because bears and dogs always fight, so you couldn't bring dogs around that lodge either. Thought I'd mention that, but so speaking of lodges, we have this buffalo lodge in our tribe too. There's many lodges, by the way. There's elk, there's otter, there's many lodges, but this buffalo lodge I thought was really interesting because these boys they were sitting. And I want to say his name was Weasel Heart, and the other one was Sacred Man. And anyways, they were making arrows. They were making arrows sitting up on the Highwood River in Canada, sitting up above it, and they were looking down, and that Sacred Man looked down, and he's telling that Weasel Heart, he says, "Look, do you see a lodge down there? There was a part of the river that was really dark. It just made like a dark green hole. It was so deep." He says, "Do you see a lodge down in there?" And he said, "I do." He says, "Well, I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna float down. You stay up here and just holler, and then I'll know I'm above it, and I'll dive down, and I'll see what it is." He said, "All right," and so he does it, and he hollers, he dives down, and when he gets down to that lodge, he opens it, and there's an old man and an old woman sitting in there, and he's looking at it, and it's a yellow lodge, and it has a buffalo right up front, and that old man, and he gives him that lodge. He transfers it to him and teaches him the songs for it and everything. And all this time, that Weasel Heart thought that Sacred Man, died because he was down there so long. But he come back up and he says, no, he got to the top of that hill. He says, I didn't pass away. He says, they were giving me this lodge. so that I could make it and use it, for us, for our people. He says, well, wait, I see another one down there. He says, this time you stay up here, I'll go down. And so Weasel Heart goes down and he dives, and that old lady this time gives him a white lodge with a black buffalo on front and then a black buffalo on back of it. Well, I don't know too much about that black and white lodge, but that yellow one, I just seen it this past summer. Anyways, that lodge, there was 2 times where they were camped in these areas with that lodge, and it was during the spring when everything was breaking up and it was flooding. And in this one area, I just don't remember where it was, but the water come so fast and so high that it wiped out that whole encampment. But the only lodge still left standing was that yellow painted buffalo lodge. That water it didn't even do nothing to it, just went all around it, and the people that were in there survived it. And it happened again on a separate occasion, almost the exact same everything. There was a flood, and the only thing left was that lodge there. So they're really powerful, these old painted lodges. And I know when we first got our first ones, it was by the predators. This long time ago, long time ago, it was by the predators, or the wolves. The wolves. There was 3 wolves, but there was one chief amongst those wolves, and then there was otters. There was even a skunk there. But they gave all of these lodges to our people. That guy's name was White Eagle, and it's kind of a similar story where they were all starving. Like the whole camp moved to find more food, but he stayed, made his family stay. Above them was a ridge, and they were so weak that they were just laying in their lodges at that point. They were just weak and they couldn't move. They were just laying there. Well, all of those predators that were up there, they seen them. They seen them down there, and those 3 wolves sent their sons, 3 of them. They says, go down there and see what those people are doing. Like, what's the deal with them? And so they go down. They said, but make yourselves like people when you get there, so they're not afraid of you. So they go down, and when they get there, they go into people. But each wolf, like there was a gray one, there was a big one, and there was a black one. They each wore their hide that they were, but they were people. But you could still see the features like a wolf. You could still see not fully a man, and the hide that they wore, like I said, was the wolf that they were when they walked in. And they asked them, what's wrong with you guys? And they could see that they were starving, and they did get scared of them. And they said, there's been no buffalo here, and we're starving. All our other people left, but we stayed. And so they took this back up to their fathers, and they threw him a big chunk of elk meat, and he says, bring this down to him and give it to him, and let them eat that. When they're strong enough, tell them to come up, and they can camp up here with us for the winter. And so that's what they did. And those people were still afraid of them. They were afraid of them. But they get back up, and they camp all winter. And every time that one animal, depending on, because they were all painted lodges that were on top of that butte, and every time they would call for a feast, that man would have to go. And those predators would give him that lodge. They would teach him all the songs. And, in the Indian way, when you're taught something like that, you don't forget it. When you're given the rights to it, you don't forget it. And so he knew all of these songs. He got taught all winter in all of those lodges. And that chief of those wolves, of all the predators, told him, you're going to go to all these feasts and you're going to get something from them, but you're to give all these lodges away to your people, and you only keep one, but give them all away when spring comes and you meet back up with your people. So he did that, and as they were camped there that winter, those wolf sons, they really liked those people. Like, they liked them. And so when it got time for spring, and all of those predators were heading out to do their summer activities, those boys wanted to stay. So they stayed, and they lived as people amongst the people. And it got to the point where they weren't they were doing things that weren't meant to be. They were having children with humans. So this is what happened to us. The Bible has the Nephilim. That happened to us, but with the animals. And it was a big mistake, so they quit doing it. They stopped that. But today you have dog man, you'll have goat man. There's even a snake man. I've even heard of a bunny man. A bunny
Yeah.
man. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many of these different man type things, and they were also taught at that time about the Wolf Trail, or the Milky Way. That's those wolves are telling them that's where your soul goes when you leave here. You got to follow that Wolf Trail. That's where it goes, and direct prayers up toward that, and I'll hear you. That's where I'm at, so I'll hear you up there. You don't just pray anywhere or to anything, but direct them that way when it's at night, and I'll hear you. He taught them a lot of things, but that's where we got our first painted lodges, was from those animals. See, because we were new, we were a new species here, so we were just the very bottom. We were pitiful. We couldn't do nothing. We couldn't take care of ourselves. We didn't know this. We didn't know that. And the animals, they were here already, and everything that the Creator made, he gave it gifts. He gave it medicine. The ability to control life force. He gave it to them, and they each had their own medicine. Well, it was so easy for these animals to seduce our women, to have their way here or there with whatever they wanted, because humans never had no medicine, nothing. They were new. We're the bottom of everything, like I said, and we have corruption, whereas animals don't. They have no corruption whatsoever. And so we were really pitiful, and that's kind of how we look at it today, is the same way. But when those times came that they started giving us their control over their life forces, when things really started to change for us. We were actually living not only with this world in balance, but we were also able to tap into that spirit world and help us here. If the balance was out of whack, we could set it back in place, depending on what it was. You would get it back. And medicine didn't just come to one kind of people, like a chief or something. No, it went to all people. It didn't matter who you were. Like that boy that went up there, he was a chief's son. Then that girl, she was like basically a nobody. She was not married, and she was living with her sister and their husband. She never had, nothing. So she was considered a low-ranking person, and given one of the greatest gifts we've ever received, from the Creator. And so it was like that. It came to people in a number of different ways, and it was never set in stone how it came about. Because that's, to me, it's a mystery. We're not meant to know certain things. We don't know why they do these things, why we were given. We just accept it and we treat it good and we try hard with it. That's kind of how I look at a lot of these stories. Because in the old days, when they would go out and seek these gifts, it was intense. They might cut a finger off when they're out there fasting, or they would stand on a buffalo skull, and it had thorns all over it, and they would stand on that, and they would take their pipe and they'd face it to the sun. They'd move with the sun all day until it went down. Then they would get off that skull and go lay down and sleep. Maybe that spirit would come, but they would do this 4 nights. And those were the old days and how they did that. But today you still have some of that, where the whole idea behind it is you don't own anything in this life. You might have all these material possessions, but you really don't own anything except your own body and your own life. So if you're sitting there and you're sacrificing until you basically can't anymore, that's when they know you're real. that you're seeking this medicine for a good reason, and the chances are they're going to help you and they're going to show you how to do. They're going to give you a gift. And that's why they were out fasting, was usually there was an emergency. Somebody was sick, something was going to happen, and they were trying to thwart that. So they would go out and seek it in a good way like that. You don't go after it just because you want to put another trophy on the wall. It's not like that. Don't work like that. It's got to be something to do with how humble you are and the need that it takes, and how far you're willing to go for it. So today you don't really have a lot of that. There's still a lot of fasting, but the other types of sacrifices you make, you might be pierced, and then you have to pull from those strings and rip out the piercings. There are flesh offerings where they take little bits off your shoulders, and those get offered up. And there's other things too, where the women will take buffalo skulls and they'll be pierced in the back, and they lean forward and drag those until they break. You might be saying, okay, so my grandmother, she's really sick, and I want her to live another year so that she could come out to these ceremonies and see them one last time. So I'm going to drag skulls for this. They make a vow to do that, and when they do that, they'll help that woman see one more time. So that's still done today in our tribes. It's still done up here. But yeah, I think that's about all I wanted to really. I mean, I could go on and on about medicine stories. There's so many, but I think we'll stop with that.
Part three, we'll continue with more medicine stories.
Yeah.
We need the medicine stories because, to face it, man, we are a sick world. We need any medicine we can get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh man, like first off, I like that story where the creatures, the different cryptids. Oh, man, that is pretty. That's like a gem right there, man. Everyone listening out there, you don't hear this anywhere. You don't really hear this much anywhere. You don't really hear natives speaking out, sharing culture, sharing information, where a lot of these people need to hear, and from the original inhabitants. And I want to share a story with you, like correlates with your story that you shared with the different cryptids. One of my friends on TikTok, they sent me a video. I heard the same story, but like all of us, we hear the same story, but over time, we forget different parts, or some parts we it wasn't added when it came to us. So this is one of the same thing, but this one guy, he was sharing a story where how all these shapeshifters, when they would do their thing, they would have a feather, like Darren was saying. They would have a feather that represents them when they're out there running around. They would have a feather there dancing around the fire, and it depends how many skinwalkers are there. They would have many feathers dancing around the fire all together, like in a rhythm. And I guess there's one guy that takes care of the fire, and he watches the feathers dance. He makes sure the fire is going, so they're protected. And if the fire goes out, they'll die. So I guess he was in a cave doing all that, and I guess the cave collapsed on him, killed him, and put the fire out, and crushed all those feathers. And those guys that were running around in different forms, they got stuck in that form, and they were trying to go back to the cave to retrieve their feathers, but they never were able to. So they were stuck, doomed to run around in that form. And so
yeah,
pretty cool story.
Yeah, it's another thing to talk about. The Native American medicine, and the medicine men. I can't express this enough, but it's real. It's frightening to say that, but it's another thing to actually witness and know that stuff like this does exist. And it might seem like for the Caucasians, the people out there, it might seem almost fantasy, when people tell stories like you just have, or you witness, uh, the medicine being played out in real life, and I can't express this enough, but like it's very much real, and it's very much still alive. Um, I seen some stuff that I would take personally. I really don't want to talk about it, but for me, all I can do is tell the audience, yeah, like, yeah, it is real. These medicine men and these medicine people, they are real. Um, Even with these dancing feathers, I seen these that works myself. I seen it, and it's hard to explain, and but uh, in a way, I probably don't got no words for it now. But it's real. These old stories that you almost take it as nonfiction. I take it as fact when it comes down to it at the end. Same with how these people use your Christian Bible as fact, even as odd as these stories play out in the Bible. Like if you were gonna read it, they have everything: talking animals, weird animals, cryptics, all sort of weird stuff in them. And uh, at that I take that as real too. Even with these old stories, they have weird, just oddball stories, but at the end, I take it as fact. Even with the or two warriors, two warrior monster hunters, at a certain stance, you gotta take it as fact, because some of these areas where they slay these beasts, these monsters, the areas are still there. I can show you one or two. Um, I back at the house. I don't stay too far away from one slaughter. One area, the giant Yabuche that was eating people. I can show you where that mound is. I can show you right there, and even show you where all the blood is at, as they say. So at a certain stance, you got to take it as a fact. So even how these songs are passed down, they're explained at a certain point where it almost seems like uh, fictional, but at the same part, well, that song's there, so they have to be there. Even with these, I keep telling, but these kachinas, these people that they draw, their artwork, they draw it because they've seen it, or they know it's there to a point where they make the artwork out of it. So uh, even even these Apache crown dancers, they go out there and they dance. They take the form out there and they dance. They embrace the spirit and of the mountains, and they dance that way. And I take that as all. I take these Native American stories as fact to a point. Just like you, all the stories you told right there. I just sat there and just all I could do is just listen and you know just uh, hold it, and it's almost a good thing. It's a good thing to hear stories like these, man, for real. So, and your podcast, you always had stories like these. So uh, when we first had you on the first time, I wasn't lying. I binged your work for almost about 2 weeks. So
Nice.
it was good. It was really good. And I was telling Don and John too. It's like, where did he go? Like where's the Lodge Tales? So uh, is there going to be a point when you're going to come back on, dude? Like, you got any more content coming up for us?
Yeah, yeah. There's So Don and I have been over on TikTok, and that's where there's a huge community of ghost story, um,
Oh yeah.
atmosphere going on over there, native ghost stories.
Mhm.
So we've already lined up a few guests that are gonna, get on our podcast just from those storytelling sessions alone, and So that's one of the next things, aside from all of the contact I've gotten from all the other outlets like Patreon, YouTube, contact entry forms from my website and things like that. People have contacted me to get back and tell more stories with me. So, and there's, if I could have it my way, I'd just line it all up and just record for a month straight and then edit,
Right.
and get it done like that. Because if you guys haven't listened to the Angelo Bullplume episode,
Yeah, that's
wow.
one that caught my eyes too. It was it's a haunting story, but you can hear the stress in his storytelling, and that's one guy. It's really kind of difficult to find a good ghost story like that, but that one kind of shook me too. Like, whoa, man, freaking poor guy. At the
Yeah.
end, yeah, it was his story. His encounters, and it's shocking, scary almost, man. Like really frightening stuff.
Yeah,
Like
I
how
really
that,
like all the eyewitnesses out there see the same thing. So like our stories all correlate, So I'm like, I'm
yeah.
convinced that something takes the Rocky Mountains, comes all the way down here to the four corners, and goes back and forth.
Right.
But sorry,
Yeah.
sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, the spirits, they don't have any trouble traveling. Look at the
Mhm.
Europeans. They brought all of that fae over here. There's fairy sightings that people have. They're different from our spirits, but they're from their culture. What elves, gnomes, things like that.
Mhm.
There's a lot of eyewitness accounts of these now. Like the guy who taught me about podcasting, he said just listen to their stories and don't worry about it. He says you might find, if you to really dig, you might find some of it isn't true, but there is true things in there. So just look for that and don't think about the rest. Because somebody asked him a question like, "Don't you ever worry that you're just putting out baloney?" And he's like, "No, because there might be some in here that's not right, but you get the bulk of it, right?"
Mhm.
So kind of the same way I was looking at that, but going back to that medicine stuff real quick, you know, I'm not here to try to convince anybody that it's real. That's none of us are. These two,
Mhm.
and myself, we're not here trying to convince anybody. We're just sharing our experiences and the stories that we know. And so another one I'd like to share is my dad. And he was at my great uncle's and he was watching the rocks while they were sweating in the sweat lodge. And there was a little boy with him. He had this great big giant um, cutting block that they were chopping wood off of. Been there forever. Grass has grown up around it. It's like rooted into the ground now. You know how grass does that, like roots onto things. So it was this huge thing, and that little boy, he kept saying to my dad, I don't know if I believe in all of this stuff. My dad would just look at him, shake his head, and finally that boy looked at my dad. He says, "Do you believe in this?" He said, "Yeah, yeah, it's real." And he just shook his head. I don't know. He's really wrestling with it. And they called for the rocks, so they jump up and you just grab pitchforks and you dig them out of there and you carry them over. There's a board you put in there so that they can slide off of that board, and then there'll be somebody in there grab them and dump them into the pit. Send that pitchfork back out, and just how many ever they call for a number of them. You'll bring that many in, and when it's done, they'll pull that board back out, and then you shut the door. Well, they were just doing that part because they go for 4 rounds and they were putting more rocks in. Everybody was already in there. The break was done, and they were calling for more rocks. And they put them in there, my dad and that boy, and then they put the pitchfork back down and they go to sit on that log, and they're looking, that log's gone. They're like, what the heck? Here it was on top of that hill right behind that sweat lodge, just sitting up there. And that boy's mouth just dropped, and he's staring at it like, how? Like, how did that happen? Because it would have took a couple grown men, maybe even three, just to uproot it. And maybe one could roll it themselves, but oh, just to get that thing out of there, it would have took a good effort. Well, my dad started laughing at him. He said, see, he says, I told you, they're just trying to show you that they're real, because you're sitting here talking like this. So they just showed you. And see, that's what it takes for some people. If you're meant to experience something like that in your life, well, then you're going to. They're going to make sure you do for whatever reason. But there's nothing wrong with doubting all these stories. There's nothing wrong with it at all. You doubt it. That's part of your path, your journey in this life is to be like that for whatever reason. I don't know. It's between you and the Creator. That's. But like I said, we're not trying to convince anybody of how this all goes down and how it works, because these ways have been here well before, geez, even Hinduism. And then before that, what was before that? I don't remember what that was called. Sanskrit. I don't remember what it was called. Something before that. These ways are older than that. They're at least 30,000 years old. These native ways across all of our tribes, they're around that old, right? And that's our best guesstimation of it, by the way. Like, because when we think back in the history of times, like we have stories from before the water days. The water days was the ice age after it all melted off. We have stories from beyond that point. We have stories that are so old that there's a story where we migrated out of North America, and then at some point we migrated back. But there was also people migrating up from the south when they had that migration back. So they're old. These ways are really old. They're so old that one of our oldest bundles has a woolly mammoth tusk in it. Even an alligator. Like, we don't have alligators up in Montana, but there's even an alligator in one of them. Yeah, I mean, it's just, so these ways are old, and when you really think about it in this macro view, and you're looking down from really far away, you start to notice that the Bible is just this little tiny blip on the radar. And our ways are like further precede that than you can really wrap your head around. So the Abrahamic religions are kind of the new kids on the block, but there's also power in those ways. You don't doubt those ways either, You don't. They all have their different power within them. And so, like I said, I'm not trying to convince anybody, but the one thing I would like to do is to challenge the Christians. Like, I'm not saying to change your ways, but what I'm saying is just understand that there are different groups of people that have different ways, and they follow those different ways, and they've survived in this world because of those ways, and they're still here because of them. Not in spite of them, because of them. And you can't follow our ways because you're locked in yours, just the way I can't. You guys have alcohol in your religion. Like, I don't know, is that Catholic, but the blood of Christ, and it's wine. We can't have that in our way. It's not in our way. We don't have alcohol or any sort of drugs. That goes against our way. When we see that, we might look at it as, well, that's something I can't do. But do we go the step further and say, you're going to be damned for doing that? No, we don't, because it's your way. And I would just challenge that you have the same bit of understanding of others, because I've been told I'm going to hell, and that's you might laugh it off, but when you think about what they're saying, they're worried about you. And I would just like to say, look, you don't have to worry like that, because we got our way that works for us, and you got your way that works for you, and we're all going to be, okay. Yeah, but these stories, though, they're so old. I mean, they go back so far, and I got images flashing through my mind right now about a lot of this stuff. There's a story where something happened, and this guy had this ability to doctor with hot rocks, but there was a way to do it. His helpers had to go out to that pit in that sweat, and they couldn't use any tools. They had to use their hands. and they had to bring these red hot rocks in there by hand. And my great uncle was he was a kid at the time when he was told to do this. He was there and he was worried, but that old man told him, "Don't worry, you guys are going to be okay. This is how this part needs to be done." So they each go out and they grab them, and sure enough, they're not getting burnt. It's like a miracle, right? And they bring it in there and they set it down, and they load all rocks by hand that day. And there's another story I remember where there is a medicine out there where I don't know what they do with it, but they can grab those rocks and just lick them, put them back, and nothing will happen to them. It's part of those ways. And there's more to this world than we'll ever understand. I think our ancestors were close to knowing a lot of the secrets of the universe, but since colonization, we're in the process of getting it all back slowly and slowly. There's some things that are just gone. Different societies, different tribes are gone, but today there's still an active effort to reclaim a lot of this old knowledge, and it's happening. It really is.
Yep. And it's really good to see.
1 second here. Hold on. Let's catch it with the comments real fast. Hang on to that thought there, real quick here. Let's see here. We got Carlo Washington 3069. Rod Ricky Medlock. Okay, so that Ricky Medlock, she is coming back right here. He was Blackfeet in Southern rock group that was really popular in the 70s and 80s and 90s. He's also
that right?
Skinner. Oh yeah,
Huh.
that's cool. I think
And
I
my
seen
dad
a
would
post
know.
on that one. Yeah. Donna A. Capas. Hello. What's up, Donna?
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. Oh, Donna. No, I was just kidding. Carla Washington, 3069. Don and Darren, when are you going live, or when are you going to have Caveman on your show? Oh man, we'll see what we can do. I really would like to have him on my show. It'd be awesome. Gerald Log 5063. Brother Don, how can I reach you? The text right here. Right there. Let's see here. Vet Girl 84. Hi all. What's up, Vet Girl? Crazy Coyote WE7EY. Bunny Man was spotted back east. Oh man, where at? Bunny Man. My cousin's wife seen Bunny Man, so we just like maybe that's a ET projecting itself, but it's like a 5 feet Bunny Man. I don't know what to say about that. And AZ Lyman 47. Rod, I have a question. I am Navajo. We have a lot of witchcraft, even shapeshifters. The shapeshifters used to assist the witchcraft. Does your tribe have a lot of this? I don't mean to sound ignorant.
Oh no, it's all right. There are shapeshifters in our tribe. That there's one story I know about, and my mom was there when it happened. But all he told them was, "Pray hard. They're calling me to Chief Mountain," and everybody started praying for him, and he turned into an eagle, but it was a spirit, and he flew right through the wall and out to that mountain. And he just told them to keep praying. They kept praying. They're all in there praying. And before long, he came back in and just landed and was a man again. I don't know what he went there for, but I've heard of it happening. Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. But I never hear of the other tribe north of Arizona. I think he's talking about the Ute or the Paiute. I'm pretty sure they have their own form of shape shifting and witchcraft. I'm pretty sure. Gerald Log 5063. Darren, people will understand at dawn you can't even trust your own people, your own family. Oh yeah, definitely. Stoked. Yo, I had that episode ready to play. Angelo's. It's a pretty good episode. Like when I was working, I just listened throughout your whole thing while at work. Let's see here. It's a pretty good episode. You guys check out. Rodney, can you remind everyone where to find your show ad again?
You can find me on Spotify. There's some on YouTube, but something needs to be worked out to get the newer videos put onto YouTube. That since I went to Spectre Vision Radio, but without a doubt, you can find it all on Patreon. You can find all of my content there, even the paid, the members only videos. I reserve that for like the best stories that I think are really good that we can keep in there. Don't get me wrong, they're all good, but there are certain ones that stand out. Well, and I'm being biased on that. The ones that stand out to me in some way, like I might relate to them or something like that, right? Those are the ones I put on the members only, so it's on Patreon. But Spotify is another good place to find them. Audible, So yeah, there you go.
Awesome. We got Nivea's Angel. She says, "Oh wow, Shadow IDK33. Hello, what's up, Shadow?" Gerald Log 5063. Ask Zuni Kevin about Bat Boy. Oh wow,
I know a story about a Batman.
Oh geez, you're gonna share that as soon as we get done with this. Hang on.
Okay.
Stoke, Rod, did you ever find that portal cave with Dorian?
Dorian fell off the face of the earth.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he's gone. He's out of the picture anymore. Like, I always try to check on him. The strangest thing happened was I got a hold of him, and I heard somebody answer. It was a female. I said, "Is this Dorian's phone?" "Yeah, this Dorian's phone." And then I hear this rustling sound, and click, it just hangs up. Like there was a struggle, and then it hung up. And that's the last I've ever heard from the guy. So, yeah, and I've been trying to get a hold of him for over a year. So, anyways, no, we didn't find the portal cave.
That sounds sketch. Nivea's Angel, awesome guest speaker. Thanks for sharing. Oh yeah, definitely, all the time. Crazy Coyote W7E. Y'all should get Bobo from Finding Bigfoot on your show. Oh man, that would be cool. Let's see here. Nivea's Angel, can't wait to share stories with you guys. Oh yeah, with you all. Oh yeah, she's coming on. I gotta look at my schedule. She's from Yaqui tribe out there by in Guadalupe. So she has some scary stories too, like the Hat Man, the Shadow Man, Goat Man. So it's pretty good. It's gonna be a pretty good episode right there.
Nice.
Crazy Coyote, about 1970, some guy was wearing a bunny suit. It was carrying people. What? That's weird. Oh, let's see here. Gerald Log 5063. Why is it in northern and southern tribe trip on each other? I don't know, man. It's just what it is. What it is. I'm just like, hey, man, we're all family. Just chill out, man. We're just all here to get along, trying to get along with each other. It says, Stoked. That's a comment. Stoked says, whoa, hope he's okay. We'll pray for him. Please, yeah, pray for him. Hopefully he's okay. Tyson Lolito T here. How's it going, Double D's? Another great episode. Definitely Tyson. Double D's with double pepperonis. Nah, just playing. Bet Girl 84. Not my story to tell, but have you guys ever heard of the prophecy of the white buffalo calf woman? I believe it was in the Lakota stories. I love that story. I've heard of it, but I don't know if Rod knows anything about that, but he'll maybe. But 1 second here, Rod. At Ed Lavado's TV. What's up, my brothers? Thanks for sharing these stories. I always look forward to your podcast. Oh, thank you, Ed. Thank you. Crazy Coyote, Bunny Man was scaring people. I bet you don't see that every day. Gerald Log, Wendigo. Oh man. Okay, he had something up here about Wendigo. 1 second here. And I cannot. Oh yeah, okay. What was I going to say? Don Wendigo going live, reaching out to you. Oh, okay. Maybe he's seen a Wendigo. That's very interesting, Gerald. Okay. All right. I forgot we were gonna have you start off, but
Batman.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Batman.
that
Go ahead.
Batman. So there's this road called 7 Mile Lane on our res, and that's a whole can of worms in itself. If you listen to Angelo Bullplume's following episodes after his main, so like a 2 hour long story he tells about that incident we were talking about earlier.
Mhm.
He comes on again, him and his wife, and they tell stories. His wife grew up out there at 7 Mile, near there. Anyways, this place is famous, infamous, whatever you want to say, for all these hauntings that go on there. It's crazy. Well, anyways, my wife's uncle, and I want to say it was her dad, or anyways, her uncle is driving with somebody, and there's a bend on that road, like a big 90-degree bend. And when they were approaching that area, it's a dirt road, and it's one of the ways that lead off of our reservation, goes to a town called Depuyer, and it's on the south side of the res. It's like where not very many people live, and then you get out. Once you cross that river, you're on to 7 Mile, and that's non-native land out there. And 7 Mile's not even on our res. It's just right near our res. Well, anyways, as he was turning that bend, it was just around evening, and on that bend, there's a great big tie, like those oil treated ones that are dark, and it's driven in right there. And on top of it was sitting that thing. As they drove by, they pulled up, and then they kind of like slowed down, and they're really looking out at it, and it was a man sitting like this, like crouched on his feet, and he was wrapped in his wings like that, and he put his head up. He was just sitting there, but he looked like a bat, but also a man. And they sped out of there. They didn't want to stick around to that guy, you know. They didn't even fool with him or anything. But on that same road, if you ever get caught out there, one of my buddies from the ceremonies is telling me, he says, there's a big rock out there. He said it's like a medicine rock, because if you put like an offering near it, it'll protect you when you're stuck out there, because there's so much bad around there. There's a death spirit out there. There's all kinds of things out there, you know. And so it's one of the places you don't ever want to be caught alone walking at night, or even with people at night. It's you just don't want to be there. Even the cops have stories about that place, you know. So anyways, that was the Batman in that area.
Well,
Is that
yeah,
the
this
same area where the cops didn't want to chase the goat man, and they was
Oh,
trying to tell him to come in?
that's in town. That's like right in town, man. Like, as soon as you're like, the town is right here, the last bit of housing, and then you don't even go far. There's a railroad track. You don't even go very far, 500 yards through like this field, and it's like a coulee. And then there's a tunnel back in there. That's where they chased it. They're on either side of it, and one was in the bottom, and they were funneling it, and it ran into that culvert, and that's where it was sitting there, kind of going like this to them. They wouldn't go in there. Yeah, they wouldn't go in there. That goat man. This one looked like it was goat from the waist down, and then up part was a man. It was weird because when my friend first seen it, when he caught it on dash cam, he said as it turned its head, it had a huge eye right here. He said on the sides, like two, you know, big old eyes, like out here though, like on a goat. You know how their eyes are like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it was like it
Yeah.
wasn't totally man. It had these weird eyes that were big. But looked like a man's face and everything. Just the eyes were weird.
Oh man.
You ever see the picture? The
Darren.
No, he
Picture?
said, and it's common. Once you have photo, video evidence of a lot of these things, somehow
Right.
it'll get destroyed. Same thing with them. It's the classic story. Once he catches it on dash cam, he hits record, and then it records a minute prior to him hitting it. The event, it'll record a minute prior when it stepped out in front of him and walked across the road and stepped over the fence and went out in that field. He turned his headlights right toward it, and he started hitting record, so it caught all of that from before. That old unit, the hard drive, he took out of there, they brought into the station, and man, he said I could download the event prior to that one and the event after it just fine. But that particular one would not come off of there. He says, I couldn't get it to work. It would always fail. Something would happen to it. He said, so finally, he said, we showed everybody that would listen to it. But he said, finally, that thing, he says, something to do with the power. Was there batteries to it? I'm not sure. But once he did that, it erased everything and he lost it.
No.
But it's common. That's the
Yeah.
same story. That's the thing. It's like a phenomenon,
Yeah, for real. Real quick here, let's read a little bit over there and then we'll continue again. We are running low on time. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, Gerald Log, he says, Wendigo, I've seen. Oh man, you got it. I got it. We all got to hear about that. Information for all is really important. Tyson Lolito, not Peps, it's Bologna. Oh yeah, Bologna. Oh man, those are hard to miss. Let's see, Nivea's Angels, bless you, LOL. Oh, thank you. Tyson Lolito, me and some buddies have seen Batman near Acoma Res, sitting on a bridge late night. Oh, Darren, you heard anything about
Nope,
that?
nothing like that. Just actually nothing. I haven't heard no Batman. My grandmother, she did tell a story about a naval lady, giving birth to a moth. Believe it or not, that's one story that she told us when we were younger, and it always makes you wonder, like what. Even the naval storytelling, that there's always a purpose for these stories, So even as I got older, I kind of made me wonder, why did she tell us that story? What was the purpose of it? And some of these the older storytelling too, they give you the area, which is unique to the storytelling. Even my grandmother, she was born, and she told us where she was born at. She's like, right there. I live. It's where born underneath a cave. A rock, basically. And that place is still there too, which is really unique to my grandmother. But yeah, that's one thing she told us too, man. She told us a lot of different stories too about the area. Mermaids and stuff like that. So as for where to put them, I'm not really exactly sure where to place these stories at, but she was always a no nonsense lady too. So it's makes me wonder, So maybe I'll ask her later. Who knows? So something to laugh about later on. But yeah, no, I haven't heard of Batman. I heard Mothman though. Nabo Mothman, dude. Believe it or not. So.
Dang.
What about the Bunny Man, Rod? You heard of the Bunny Man down there?
Yeah. So my one of my brothers, he's my really good friend. He's like a brother. His mother and them, it would be his aunt, his mom's sisters. Right in the middle of Browning, here's this place called Napi Elementary, and right across the street from there, it'd be behind the old high school. They just had this little small yard, and there was trees in that yard, so they had a fence with trees, so for privacy and stuff. Well, they were just sitting outside. They were little girls, and this had to have been in, I want to say, around the 60s, probably, or even further than that. Anyways, they were playing around there, and they were the only ones home, and it was he said it was about noon. It was just bright out, sunny day, everything, nothing out of the ordinary, and they were playing. And through those trees, they heard rustling, and it come out. Heck, it was a upright rabbit walking like a man, even shaped like a man, but it had a rabbit's head, and it had hands, and it opened that thing, and it was looking at them. And they scream and go running inside, and this thing, it doesn't go in right there. It goes around to their gate, opens that gate, and they're looking at it out the back window, and it's coming up their backyard to that back door, and it's jiggling the door, and it's looking at them, and it's trying to get in. And they're screaming. They run to the other side of the house, and they just kind of sit it out. and it went away and it never came back. But
Man,
that's the only story I know from our res about this bunny man. But there's one I know, yeah.
that's just, man, that's just gross, dude. Like I can't imagine anything like that. I think the only thing I can imagine of an upright walking rabbit, I think of those Cabbage Patch. I don't know if you remember those Cabbage Patch.
Yeah.
I think they used to have like a TV show in the Cabbage Patch, and they had like the villain was like a upright walking like Jackrabbit or something. Had a little vest on and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, man, that's just freaking, that's just disturbing. Dude.
Wonder
That's
how it
gross.
tastes. I prefer rabbit than chicken at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, ain't nothing
Oh, man.
pretty good than nice rabbits.
Oh, hey Rod, what about the like one of the guests said, the white buffalo? Have you heard of anything similar like that, or you guys have your own stories like that?
No, we don't. I don't know any of that. That's a Lakota prophecy, like he was saying, and
What
I don't
about-
really. I don't
Oh.
know their story to it though.
Oh, what about apocalyptic story? What's coming? Should we expecting?
Well, I've always heard ever since I was young that there's gonna come a time where we all need to go into the mountains, but to not worry when we go because we're gonna be protected when we go. And one of my other Cree friends, he talks about the Imoyitipi, the Bigfoot. When that time comes, they're gonna help us and they're gonna show us where to hide and all of these things. They're gonna be there for us again, like they were before. And so, because when we used to fast, that's who used to protect us. You'd be out there basically all alone and helpless. You didn't take weapons with you or anything, so any sort of predator or enemy that was around, the Bigfoot would clear them away from you, so you could fast. You could go on your journey, whatever you're trying to accomplish there. They would support you in that. So that's all I know. But as far as in the Blackfeet way, we only have one prophecy, and it's really, really vague. So in the whole story, without telling that whole story, I'll just tell what the prophecy is when the moon, the earth, and the Big Dipper, the moon, the sun, the earth, and the Big Dipper all align. That's when the moon catches those boys in the story, and that's going to be the end of mankind. So we got to look for the stars when that happens. We're close, and there's nothing near that right now that I see. I've even tried entering that particular instance on those, where you could look at the sky like a star map, and you can fast forward time to where those are aligned. I even tried fooling with one of those years ago when it first came out, but I didn't have any luck. So what I was trying to do is pinpoint a year. What's the year this is going to stretch out and happen? But I never could find it. So that's the only prophecy we have. And there's a big long story about why that is, but I don't know if we have time for that. It's a long story, man.
Well,
Part 3.
yeah, part 3,
Yeah.
man. It's always good. Your girl for good storytelling, man. I swear, dude.
Oh,
So
what about star people?
Oh yeah. So in our way, there's like a couple of different. Well, I hear about star people being the actual stars. That's their life force in those stars have communicated with us, have helped us, have taught us things, have taken pity on us, things like that. Then star people, like as in aliens, those different life forms. And the one story that I know a few, but the one that stands out to me, and I may have told it before, but anyways, it's when they were all at the sweat lodge again. My great uncle, he was a holy man, a powerful one too, well known in our all the bands of our tribe, not just ours. In Montana, up in Canada too, he was known. But so they were having a sweat lodge one time, and as they were breaking, they all went out. But he used to always sit in there. He would never come out. He would stay in there. And I mean, he'd come out every now and again, but most of the time he was in there. But the people were all pointing up, and they were worried, and they got his attention, and he crawled out, and he looked up, and there was a craft hovering above him, and they could see these little tiny, like, This looked like portholes on it, but in each one of those you could see a little being like looking out at them, looking down at them, and that was right above the sweat. And so he calls everybody back in and he tells them, "Don't be afraid of them." He says they're not going to harm us. We've had a relationship with them for a long time now. Don't worry about them. They're just curious, seeing what we're doing, and because of those words that he said, I'm hearing this from my auntie. She was there when it happened, but from those words, I gathered kind of strange thoughts. Like, okay, so these other beings that are around and they've been here a long time. What? Why? Like, if they're so far technologically advanced in science, does that mean they're also really far behind in spirituality? Does that mean they don't believe in things like that? And so when they see us doing our ceremonies and they can actively witness us interacting with spirits, is that cause for a study? Do they like study that? Like, what is that? So, anyways, that's kind of my thoughts on that. The star people.
Well, that's pretty cool. Very interesting. Love hearing about hearing other takes. That's one of the things I forgot to ask the Zuni. Like every tribe, one of the things I like to ask is like the big Sasquatch, star people, and then like different other elemental spirits. Because you get a lot of people that are out there in the forest looking for Sasquatch, and they have pictures of lights and they think everything is Sasquatch. I'm like, dude, that might be spirit elemental of that area.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
not Sasquatch. It's something else. You don't know what it is. Be careful.
It could be his helpers. It could be his helpers. He could be a holy one. Like a medicine man type of his people. Could be anything. They might all have something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. I was like, we call those holy people too. They come down, they assist the creator. They help people out too. I was telling them it could be that. I was like, I don't know. That's something in the East Coast that we don't really know about. Um, Here's a crazy coyote 1313 to fight Wendigo. You use fire against them. Once you are bitten by them, you are one of them and can't turn back, always hungry, like a human Wolverine. Have to burn a Wendigo's body after it dies. Oh, geez. Yeah, be careful, Gerald, about the Wendigo. Metapoli 4376. Yay, so glad Rod is on tonight. These paranormal investigators also have their batteries drained and
Mm-hmm.
footage goes missing. It is not uncommon. That's why these stories and experiences are interesting. Yeah, all kinds of strange things happen. Crazy Coyote 1313, rule of nature. Plant eaters only eat plants as long as the plants are around. No plants, they'll eat meat, even rabbits. Oh, jeez. Who knows, huh? Tyson Lolito, Acoma people have some good stories about seeing the Batman sitting on the steel bridge and in the tunnel that goes under I-40. Oh yeah, Tyson. Just waiting for a coma to reach out. I see them on Spotify listening to the stuff. So even the Laguna too. So if you guys listening out there, there's ways you can reach us. Rod and I's podcast. We both have a Facebook group, Lodge Tales podcast Facebook group, and Don't Whistle at Night podcast group on Facebook. Oh yeah, right here, Gerald Log. Hear my life, hear me. Oh yeah, reach out to us, Gerald. I'd like to hear the Wendigo. Hey, Rod, do you have anything on Wendigo from you guys' stories? Any creatures like that?
No, but I've heard of a guy. The only time I've ever heard about the origin and what it does, like, I mean, I'll just paraphrase it because it is on the podcast. Look up Gary Smallboy, The Message. He tells Wendigo on there, and he's a Cree from Canada. He talks about how it came to be in his area and what they did to fight it. And it actually unalived his dog, man. Like, killed his dog, and he seen it when it killed his dog, and the way he says it moved when took off. So it like floated but was bouncing when it took off. But it took his dog and it was trying to get like consume it, but the dog had a collar on his collar that he put on it, but it took all of its hide and it peeled it back, and it was in the process of getting that hide off, but it was just stuck over its head because of that collar when he caught it. And it, but anyways, he talks about when it came to their encampment, because his grandpa was worried about when alcohol came. We didn't even get to alcohol spirits, but anyways, he was worried about when his grandpa seen alcohol coming and the effect it was having on the people. So he still knew the old ways, and he was worried that they were going to lose them because of alcohol. So he moved about what did he say? 2 hours from any sort of civilization, and he set up his own little community out there where they all live the old ways. Even today, I guess people will want to sober up and they'll go out there because it's like where all the holy people stay, and they still live the old way. Well, out there is where the encounters with this thing would happen. And one of the things he said that those elders used to do is call their helpers, and a lot of the times it was the little people. So they would see up on the mountain, they would see these flashes, like flashes of light, and it was those little people hitting them with their medicine, chasing it out of their area up into those mountains, away from that little encampment, that little village, because it used to come in there. It used to come in there and mess around. And when they would fight it, because they would arm themselves and they would go after it, but the bullets that they had a way of blessing those bullets somehow, and that's what they would use on it. But it only came out when there was a certain condition. The river had to have been melted down a certain amount, and here's this particular fork where that happened, where it was buried, but that spirit would come out once that river comes off of it, then it would come out again. And that's when they would have to, send a little people, or they would have to take arms against it. But it's crazy. Gary Smallboy, the message. Yeah, listen to him tell that story, man. It's crazy.
Ooh, I'm going to have to look into that tomorrow again. Man, Gary Smallboy. Okay, definitely. Ooh. You can, we have about 15 minutes left if you want to brush a little bit about the alcohol spirit. Real quick here, it's poor quality. I wish it downloaded right. Oh, hang on there.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Oh, you can't see it.
I got it on my phone. Let's see if I can hold it up to the camera.
No.
Okay. Okay, there we go.
See if this. Oh, it's not gonna work. Dang.
I can see it. There's a white figure in the background, right there to the left in the center. You can't see it, but the white is too bright.
Here, let me try to turn it down. Let me try to turn down the brightness.
You said that that was from a dude that was smoking meth and doing a Ouija board at the same time, and that. I'll let you tell the story. That's pretty crazy.
All right, I got it all the way down on brightness. Ooh, you could see it right there.
Oh, it's a face, huh?
Yeah, right here, right in the middle, next to the guy. Yep.
Yeah, he was staying. See, you can see they took a video. It's at 57 or whatever when they screenshotted that. Like, I wish I could get that glare out of it, but yeah,
it's all good.
So this guy was there's a round hall. It's just like similar to a hogan, but it's it's made out of logs and things like that, and it's nothing like a hogan per se, but it's similar in that it's round. Well, anyways, they used to have dances in there. I want to even say they had certain ceremonies in there too at one point, but I remember they renovated it not too long ago, and nobody usually stays in those kinds of things. They usually don't. But this guy, I don't know if the door was left open, unlocked, and he just went in and decided to start sleeping in there. But my sister-in-law stays right near there, and her nephew, she has two nephews from her husband. They went in there with their phones, and they were just like, "Oh, I wonder what's in here." And cripes, that guy come jumping out. It's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And they're like all just videoing him, like, "Holy shit, what are you doing in here?" And you know, and they noticed behind him was a Ouija board way back in there, like behind him, and this guy was all messed up on drugs. Like he's to the point where he's actually lost his mind. Where they think he's lost his mind because not that night, but another time they were shining a light, like a flashlight, because he was out in the field playing hide and seek, like going crazy, just playing hide and seek, like. And so they had this light and they were flashing it out there, and as soon as they'd flash it, like the lights here, the shadow would duck out of the way before the light come. And then they turn it off and that thing would come back out and he would start playing hide and seek again. They would turn on the light and that thing would duck again and he's the only one standing there. And he said, hey, can you guys turn that light off? My friend don't like that light. But anyways, when those kids were in that round hall that night, they were just kind of talking to him like, "Oh, this guy's all messed up." And they start looking at that video and shit. There was a guy right behind him as soon as he peeked his head out and said, "Hey, what are you guys doing out here?" And that thing was right behind him. So they think there's something attached to him. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
man.
pretty
No
creepy,
doubt.
poor guy. I feel bad for him, tell you the truth,
Yeah, these
Yeah.
these drugs bring in spirits along with them too.
Yep.
They may, it's kind of harsh to say, like, yeah, they tell stories. I'm like, oh yeah, there's chasing shadow people, stuff like that. But at reality, man, it kind of makes you wonder. Like maybe they broke some type of veil inside their spirit that they're able to talk to these and see these entities like this, dude. It's really weird. It's really it's strange putting in this unknown substances, like these drugs, stuff like that, man.
Gateways,
It's
doorways.
gateways. Yeah, exactly. Portals to another side. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Double whammy. Oh man.
Oh, I just thought of another shapeshifter story. Dude, I totally forgot about it. It happened to my mom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it happened to my mom. So one day I called her and she said, "Oh, you ain't gonna believe what happened last night." And she says, I was just out. Like she has this little gate. She has a little arch where you go in between her trees to get up to her house. She has a little gate there. She always keeps it locked, because of people. Anyways, she gets out. Her trash can's outside where they pick it up outside her gate. She was going out to throw some stuff away, and it was really late. It was late. About, what did she say? It was about like 2 a.m, and so she was getting up, and something was bothering her with the trash. So she brought it out. I don't know why she did it that late, but anyway, she was by her trash can and she looked down the road, and there was a guy walking. He just had on pants. He's no shirt, no socks or shoes, and he was walking up the road toward her house. And she thought, I'm gonna get in this house, into the shed. She has an enclosed shed before you get into her house too. And she was standing there looking out those windows, and she said that guy come over, and he stood by my garbage can, and I was just about to tell him because he was starting to dig in there and stuff too, like, hey, stay out there, I don't want you to knock that over and have all these dogs over here, something like that. She said she was just about to say something to him, and it's so dark in that little area at night, like you couldn't see anybody in there. Like I couldn't see her if she was standing in there, like none of us could. But that guy is really looking in that garbage can, and he looks up and makes eye contact with her. There's no way he could have seen her, and that freaked her out. So she just got really still and just stayed there. And he drops that lid, then he starts kind of like going on all fours, but with his legs up in the air, like he's hunched, just like bear crawling around, acting all weird. And he goes over toward her where she pulls in that side of her fence. And he walks over there. That's when she loses sight of him because he ducked down behind that fence. And here, what jumps over is this white dog. Jumps over her fence and it lands on that. She only has like this little plywood that makes the ramp to come up that side. And it landed on that. When it landed on that, it got up like this. And it started walking, looking in her windows, and it went around to the side where she was standing. The door's here, and there's a little window right by it. That's where she was standing. Right behind her is the door to her house, but she's standing there, and there's two little windows there. It went to those windows, and it was looking in at her. And she said, it had regular paws, but it was standing upright. And it was putting its paws in there, too, and it was looking around at her. She got too scared to stay there, so she went into her house. And anyways, she ended up falling asleep again, and the next morning they went out to look because it was a little bit of rain that night. Man, out beside her front gate, she said there was human footprints and dog footprints at the same time right there. But when it jumped over, it landed so hard that it caved in a little bit of her plywood, and it wasn't a dog print or a human. Heck, it was a split hoof that landed on it and broke it in. You could just see a split hoof. So it was a bunch of weird things that happened to her. Like that split hoof thing is and it's still there. It's her. Wow. Her thing is still broke. I'm gonna get a picture of it next time I'm home.
Jeez, heck yeah. That sounds crazy right there. Man. Let's read some of these comments real quick before we close out here. We're gonna have to plan for part 3, Rod. Let's see here. All right. Nivea's Angel. It's weird when you have grown up being able to see the supernatural. It becomes like an everyday thing. LOL. I don't even get scared anymore. Being seen, shadow people, and the Hat Man, and more. Oh yeah. Jeez. Then Crazy Coyote. I'm searching for 2 videos. One on Bigfoot at Shiprock Revival, stole cookies, and video on the number of species on Earth. Relay cam. Find them? Did I just listen to them? Alternative reality? Question mark. Oh man, if you find it, send it our way. We definitely gotta check it out. Nivea's Angel. A lot of people aren't gifted with sight. They won't ever see anything. LOL. They won't believe anything that anyone says. Maybe it's just best they don't see anything. Yeah, like the creator, he knows how much everyone can handle. So I believe that. Dom Dad Don 32. Oh man, that's a tongue twist. See, he says, "Ha." Okay, Stoke. Woo. Okay, cool. Gerald Log, see, told you. Oh yeah, about the Wendigo, most definitely. Sparky's Paranormal Outdoor. Hey Don, Daryl, everyone, Darren, everyone in the chat. What's up, Sparky's? Stoke says hello. Okay. Ghosts of alcoholics sometimes attract themselves to living alcoholics and possesses them. Oh, I believe that. Sparky's Paranormal Outdoors. Tance. Hello, Tance. Nivea's Angels. Natives are the first people here in America. They're older than any other people here. They don't have the Jesus belief. Nobody should say they're going to hell. The heck? Anna's Zavarinza K2Q, new member. Oh, hey, hello, Anna. Thank you. Nivea's Angel. Hey, okay. All right, that's someone's okay. Let's see here. Okay, Gerald Log. I'm from Fort Defiance, Arizona. Oh man, bet you see some crazy things right here. I know what you're talking about. Oh, reach out to us. Let's see here. Heidi Gold. Gratitude, guys. Thank you, Heidi.
Thanks, Heidi.
Samantha Curley. Oh yeah. Samantha Curley, 4376. Oh my goodness, that's wild. I'd be freaked out to go to sleep if I was a man. If I was a man, shapeshift and come looking for me. Oh yeah. Careful. Yeah. Then Nivea's Angel, the guest speaker's name, Rod. Sorry, I didn't see the name up. Oh yeah, his name's Rod. Let's see here. Randy Yazzie. I've seen a bat like looking creature flying over my horse corral and two white female creatures. The Cookie story is what I told. Oh geez.
Huh.
So he has Cookie, Stolen Night of Revival, and a bat character. I know he's seen a horse face character too. Let's see here. Right here. Okay. Cooey brothers, sorry I'm late. I had to move kangaroos from the front garden. They eaten my bush medicine plants. Oh man.
Yeah, it happens though. You know them
Careful.
kangaroos.
You guys got any
man.
old kangaroo stealing songs over there?
Not yet. There's no Navajos down there yet. Shape shifting to a kangaroo or to a yowie.
You know what? Strangely, yeah, they do see kangaroos out of where I'm from. You know,
Oh snap!
and this is one. You know, I told like a long time ago. Yeah, I seen a kangaroo sitting on the side of the road. I can point where I seen this kangaroo at.
Oh,
And I was like, "What the heck? There's a kangaroo!" And I was just a younger boy too, going on a field trip, you know. And so there's a kangaroo right there, and you know, everybody looked around, like, yeah, there's a kangaroo. And then another one that says another guy that was going, you know, hunting for elk out there in the trees, and all of a sudden he said he seen a kangaroo just run across in the woods, the wood line, you know, like, oh, well, what the heck? I guess they're, you know, I guess I wasn't the only one seeing kangaroos. Wow.
Oh yeah, kangaroo mice. I know it's kangaroo mice.
Yeah, kangaroo mice.
But we're running low on time, guys. Real second here, or 1 second here. Okay, Heidi Gold, UPRN represent.
Oop.
Thank you for joining us here, Rod, at the United Public Radio Network. Let's see, River Morris 8742. Okay, all right, that's a chat there. Rod, you have any questions or any final goodbyes, thoughts before we close out?
yeah, just, you know, if those Aussies have old kangaroo stealing songs, I'll trade them for the dinosaur stealing songs for my ancestors. No. No, but seriously though, Darren, we got to get you on Lodge Tales at some point. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, Don's already been on twice, so we need to get you on here at some point. But
He's
I
seen
would just
Dogman.
say, no, I got one Dogland story too for next time. But anyways, no, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody from Blackfeet Nation. You know, thank the Don't Whistle at Night podcast here and you guys, and kind of makes me feel good that you actually worried about me. It reminds me of that one question they asked. They said, "What would you do if you woke up and all of the white people were gone?" And this one native said, "Man, I'd go look for you guys. Make sure you're all right. I'd like you guys." But anyways, no, but I appreciate the concern and everything. But yeah.
Oh yeah. It was pretty much true, man. Every time your name popped up, I was like, "Where is he?" I was about ready to go out there to the Blackfoot Nation and ask around too, see if you're all right. So,
Yeah. Alrighty, guys. It's been a pleasure, like always. Oh, real quick here. River Morris 8742. Our Yowies mimic kangaroos and the
that's
wallabies.
crazy.
Oh, snap.
Yeah,
Jeez, that sounds. I was reading about Yowies before we start the show. Okay,
that's
Darren,
interesting.
you want to say
man.
laters?
oh,
It is.
leaders. Nice having you back, Ron.
Yeah, thank you.
Probably most likely a part 3. The conversation kind of, you know, sped up and just like that 2 hours is gone. So
Oh yeah.
Yep.
All
Thank you again for your time, Rod. We appreciate having you on. Just to let you know, we got your back, and we'd like to say hello to everyone in Blackfeet Nation and everyone out there from any other nation listening across the globe. Peace and love to all you guys. Gonna close out the show, guys. You want to say laters?
Oh,
We'll
later.
see you. Good night, my brothers.
All right, man.
Till next time.
All right.
Yep.
Yes.
Have a good one, man.
Good night, brother.
Have a good one.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. All right. See you, man. Good
Oh,
job.
yeah. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you for tuning into Don't Whistle at Night. We have been broadcasting live here on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Thank you. You guys have a great week.
Welcome to Don't Whistle at Night podcast, where Navajo legends echo in the shadows. Darren and Dawn will guide you through the sacred fire of native storytelling, where the old stories breathe, the unknown walks among us, and voices, long hidden, rise to be heard. And remember, don't whistle at night.